During Ksheerasagara Madhana, the churning of the ocean produced so much heat that it began giving out hala hala, the deadly poison. It began consuming universes after universes, killed demons and gods alike, and everyone had nowhere to go but to Shiva. The Almighty promised to save them all and drank up hala hala and stored such intense poison in his throat. When the mountain started sinking into the ocean, Sri Mahavishnu upheld it in the form of a turtle. The churning of the ocean with such a huge mountain only calmed down a minute itch that Sri Mahavishnu had on his back. Such was his might. Then the elixir of immortality, Amrita, came out. Like a pack of wolves ready to endeavor a dying deer, these Rakshasas wanted to pounce on the elixir. Sri Mahavishnu assumed the form of Mohini, distracted the Rakshasas from wanting to have the elixir, and gave it all to the gods. Sometimes to win wars, we need distractors. But in our situation, the enemy had mastered that skill. RK and I intend to break that chain and use their newly found tactic back on their faces. Because, child, Sri Mahavishnu did it for dharma long before you started doing it for adharma. We sat in my chambers. RK and I had to discuss an elaborate plan of action before meeting with the wolves. I had allowed only my uncle to be in on it as I wanted my parents not to stress themselves out. We had to plant fake donors of fake ancient paintings. This was to give enough publicity needed to make believe. The next thing was to announce a burglary that failed miserably and that nothing original was stolen. This was to beat their confidence. Third and most important thing was to invite more foreign delegates to concrete the faith we are inducing in the art exhibition. The next day, we set up a press meet. I had few interested allies come in as donors to donate ancient paintings for the cause. This got publicized in the media as planned. I put into display previously taken pictures of the stolen paintings and declared that they were still with us. I added that the thieves had only taken replicas of the paintings and called them a bunch of professional idiots. The third and final step involved a video with the French, Canadian, Russian, and Italian delegates who were interested in visiting the exhibition. This included officials from the respective embassies. This stunt gave an extra oomph to our much anticipated show. It was important to the nation as the date was set to stand next to the night of Shivaratri. We wasted time knowing that nothing can be done till the meeting with our new investors. Due to unknown reasons, our meeting was postponed for a week. This gave me time to show my other business ventures to RK, the textiles, the art galleries, the media management, food industries, etc. We decided to watch a new release in my home theater. Our family met RK and treated him with much hospitality. The so-called action film started. The stupid director of the stupid film dropped in way too many flashes in the fight scenes. I started feeling uncomfortable. A sense of nostalgia started kicking in my head. I stopped the show by the first half. They were worried of me as I started to sweat heavily. My mind was completely out of my control, imagining things that had not happened but felt like it had happened sometime before. I saw a horse in my visions neighing into the skies. Her knees echoed back. I fell onto the ground involuntarily. My hands started to freeze. My legs followed. My whole body was out of my control. I do not remember what, but I kept on seeing flashes of images that seemed familiar. Being a psychology dropout student, I knew enough to realize when I was going through a seizure. My voice still worked in my head, but my body seemed to be someone else's. The feeling of me and mine seemed distant from my body. It took a while for me to get back to normalcy. I had to get a checkup from the doctor. ECG scans, EEG scans, MRI, and whatnot, they put me through multiple scanning processes to see what I had. Though there was nothing abnormal in my MRI, there were unwanted fluctuations in my EEG reports. The doctor suggested that the seizures could have been a result of the flashes on screen or because of the stress I was going through. Either way, I knew my brain was a fried omelette. As a joke, RK brought me a flash t-shirt, and my uncle brought a t-shirt with my scan reports printed on it, reading, "Proof that I'm nuts." I was forced to bed rest for a week with pills as my partners. I had hit my head strongly when I fell down unconscious. RK promised he would take care of the meetings. The day did come. I sent my uncle to his support. I had a gut feeling that things might have gone well. RK began telling me how the meeting went. There were two main investors that desperately wanted to put in money and see the new paintings. RK gave them a plan of action. While the politician would publicly announce a huge investment, keeping the glory of the country in mind, the businessman could sponsor the event with his brands. With this as an excuse, the businessman and the politician could do money laundering, as there would be a lot of unaccountability in an event this large. Furthermore, they could easily show losses with misbalanced public visitors and investment, thereby turning a lot of black money into white. Their personal agendas aside, they fell for the Mohini distraction we had set. Whatever they came to destroy, they are here because of money. It's not really their own agenda. To these greedy wolves, we showed a further way to make more profit while they still thought they had the upper hand. RK had set up an appointment in a month with the investors to come and see the collections that we had. His excuse was that we were upgrading the security systems, which we were, by the way. Our main task was to replicate the lost paintings. I brought in my most trusted artists who had been benefiting from my gallery consistently from the past 5 years. They wouldn't reveal this replication to a soul, and their talents are so high that they may even astonish the original artists of the original paintings. From the saved images of the lost paintings, they repainted them in 15 days. By this time, a secretive team of 15 data analyzers that I had hired shortlisted car number plates that were around the gallery at the time of theft. They had to compare and eliminate the data on the date of theft against the data of 30 days. It was just curious, as there were only 3 unidentified vehicles that came and left with the authorization of my employees. One was my HR, who claimed to have brought his family in for a visit. This vehicle left during the heist, not before, not after. The alarms went off after this vehicle left. Second was my secretary, a guy that's supposed to work from the ground floor who had brought in plumbers for repairs. He too had access to top level security. This vehicle left after the alarms went off, but the vehicle was searched thoroughly by the security before it was let away. The third was the head of sales. She had access to every nook and corner of the gallery. She managed sales and purchases and kept a track of everything. With her authorization came in a vehicle that read maintenance. Every once in a while, we'd brush off the dust that may fall on the canvases. There is also a thorough vacuum cleaning process for the dust accumulated on the frames. She monitors the safety of this process entirely. This vehicle too, left after the alarms went off, was checked thoroughly and then sent out. The only vehicle that wasn't checked before it left was the first of these 3. We did not have active cameras installed within the gallery due to previous cyber breaches. Our alarm systems were our security. With this conclusion, RK and I decided to keep a close eye on the HR, the secretary, and the head of sales. Meanwhile, we brought in professional thieves. You spend enough time on the internet, you can hire anybody for any job. These guys came in from an unknown foreign country as tourists, refused to show us their faces, and dressed themselves in masks. They followed the trial of everything that had happened for a whole week, did their analysis, and came back with the confidence that they could recreate the crime scene. I declared a holiday. It was just the thieves, RK and I. We wanted to see how it went down by ourselves. First, the thieves came in through the reception area. From this, their first stop was the smoking zone out in the back balcony. The smoking balcony was a safety precaution just so smokers don't burn something down. The robbers showed this as their first opportunity. They should have pulled this off only when no other employee was there. This usually happens around the lunch hour. This balcony has metal drainage pipes that go up to the janitor's room. This was their Spider-Man moment to climb it up and sneak into the janitor room in second level. Otherwise, there is no way for them to breach the security detail. Here they had access to the staff uniforms. No matter how many people breached in here, only 3 at best would get extra uniforms. So here on, we had 3 people walking around as the employees in top-level security floors. These 3 marched their way to the vaults where the 7 paintings were kept, probably pretending to clean. Here, they should have known the codes to a way in. Apart from myself and uncle, only the secretary and the head of sales had that level of information, not even the HR. Clearly, there was no alarm when they stepped in, so the hired robbers suggested that it may not have been the HR. We went into the vault containing 7 paintings hung to the wall, each with its own alarm system. Somehow, the robbers knew exactly which pair boxes to mess with and which wires to cut. So, a pack of wolves, 3 in number, hiding under the skin of my employees, managed to steal 4 paintings. Then, when they were about to hit the 5th, one of them messed up cutting the right wires and set out an alarm. They still could have grabbed it before running, but it was left back. This demonstrated that they were in some kind of a hurry. No sooner than these alarms would go out, they would have a minute or at most 2 to get back to the janitor's room. Running around with 4 huge rolled up canvases in an art gallery wouldn't be an easy task. So, art scene recreators suggested that they should have carried a trolley cart of the janitors to hide the paintings. With such, they must have returned to the janitor room, back down the smoking balcony in first floor, and the escape plan from there is not precise. They might have taken out the paintings and escaped, or the insider who helped them might have aided with this task too. Either way, this was how the theft was planned and executed. My health was getting worse because of the rising tensions. We paid the thieves we hired heavily to keep mum on the issue. They all disappeared to their countries. It wouldn't be a surprise if we hired the same professional thieves that our enemy had to do their dirty job. It's not like in the films, you know. There is a crime and voila, a camera footage saves the day. Sometimes we might have to go old school. RK looked at me and said that something about this scene recreation doesn't feel right to him. My head was bursting inside like a volcano. I had seizures for a second time. I collapsed and was about to fall again onto the ground. I could sense RK holding me and dragging me to a seat. I was never a weak one, but this was my love. When a man's love is a lost cause, it takes a toll on his head. RK sat next to me, gave me my medication and pat my shoulder. We'll get this pack of wolves, RK assured. Let's go back to Devpur's mountain. I'll tell you what I did there during my 1-month stay up there. His story of turning into a different man from a dumb idiot fascinated me. I knew there was much more that happened on the mountain. I agreed to go with him. Other than the Kali painting and the dancer painting, I'll show you where another painting was painted, he added. My eyes widened. This is the writer-director of Tenali RK. We'd be getting seizures too if you don't go out and watch the next amazing episode. Link in the description below. We spent painfully long hours in making this series. If you like what we achieved here, please subscribe and join our family.